Town of Canandaigua to order. We'll begin with the pledge of the flag, and then we'll follow that with a moment of silence for our troops.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, just a brief review of the ZBA meetings, procedures and protocols. When we have requests for a variance, applicant will present that request and the reasons why they're necessary. After that, or during that, the board can question the applicant. After the board and applicant are comfortable with the information presented, the floor is then open to the audience for any comments they have. All questions from the audience need to be directed to the board and not to the applicant. And, each person should limit their comments to generally less than 5 minutes. When the applicant and board are comfortable that all necessary information has been presented, the public hearing will be closed, and then we have 62 days within which to make a decisions, but we generally will make the decision the night of the presentation. Okay. Yeah, we started when I'm time. Sorry.
I said, hey, where's Chris?
Okay, first one is let's see, 3670 County Road 16, Charles Braun. Request installation of a fence within 25 feet of the high water mark. 70-foot water course setback is needed, where 30 feet is proposed and 100 feet is required. Relief to place a structure within 25 feet of the mean high water mark is needed. Mr. Braun here.
Right here.
You come up to the microphone here and.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to start with the comments there of the water course. There's no water course on my property, so that variance isn't needed.
Okay.
And I don't know how that got in the verbiage,
Sure.
but it's only a case of 25 feet to the high water mark of the lake. If you could show the picture of the front of the property, Mike, if you could. I think it must be. Right. Bunch of photos here, but basically, I own some waterfront property. It's right next to the Butler Town Park. It's 50 feet wide, and my next door neighbor has a fence. I just want to extend his fence 50 feet. The issue is that there's an 8-foot section of water that comes in toward the road, and that 8-foot section would violate the 25-foot rule. So maybe 2 fence posts would be within that 25-foot area. So that's the issue. The reason I would like the fence is, one, it's keeping in character with the neighborhood. 2, if you could show the picture of the front yard, I believe it's a safety issue. I do have you can see it. Yeah, it's right here. That's my front yard. You can see I have a stairwell right next to the road. You can see my neighbor's fence. I just want to extend that fence 50 feet across my property. I have a stairwell coming down. People could wander into my property. I have had family members, young children, I have grandchildren that have almost run into the road, and County Road 16 is quite busy, especially in the summer. We do have incidents where people from the town park wander across my property and get picked up from a boat on my dock. I'd like to deter that. Also, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the little section of water that comes in. That's the problem. It's
There is a fence between your property and the town property.
There is on the other side, yes.
Right.
Lower left-hand picture.
Yeah.
There's a fence there. So there are many, there's a lot of fences along County Road 16. A lot of them violate that same 25-foot rule. As a matter of fact, just about every property along that stretch of road there has some kind of structure in the 25-foot zone. Including to the north, there's entire houses there that probably violate that. And I'm only really requesting 2 fence posts, pretty much.
Is this proposed fence going to look?
It's gonna be identical to the
Okay.
fence. Yeah. The plan is to get it as close as possible to that fence. I mean, that fence is probably 20 years old, so might be some slight nuances that aren't perfectly the same, but same height, same 6-foot post span. Picket style fence.
I was mentioning, Mike, I don't remember our approving some of those other fences. I'd say maybe older than, not older than I am, but.
I don't remember approving any
On here,
fences.
that's 20. Yeah.
And
Anybody have any
Where
other,
to put it without,
pardon me?
where we just got it up there, no, there was
Right,
That may happen some too, but a lot of those have been there just a long.
they're just there.
Yeah.
yeah, well, there is also one that was put up less than 2 years ago, right down the road, that has the same issue with the same kind of water jut in toward it. That's it's a picket fence, but it's up on like a 18-inch cement wall. The same issue.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
Mhm.
Nope.
Anybody in the,
Majority of staff, that maybe that the other staff, I mean, but.
yeah,
You know, there's just these.
any questions from the staff, is that all?
Yes, correct, that first variance that was mentioned does not meet the setback to the water pools.
I sent them the email regarding this. Did you get a chance?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Our old email.
Oh.
Anything further you'd like to present?
I think that's it. I mean, there's many pictures in here. I've been up and down the road. There's all kinds of attachments. There's emails from my neighbors in support of my fence.
We've seen copies of those.
Okay.
Anybody else, anybody in the audience have any questions, or if anybody at home? Hearing none, on your, okay with this, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. You have 62 days to make a decision. You typically will make them night of the presentation. So
All right, thank you for
welcome
your
to
time.
stay around. We'll go through the other things. If you want to go ahead out, you can call Mike in the morning.
Okay.
Okay, the next one on the agenda has been withdrawn. I understand. Okay, 6265 Gumbo Road. It's the variance for 3-lot subdivision in the AR2 zoning district, lot width variance of 130 feet when 200 feet is required. on the road where 70 is proposed. Lot width variance of 131 feet is needed. Where 68.7 feet is required and 200 feet is required.
Evening. So we're in front of you today for a variance for a lot width along Grimble Road. Now I'll give it a little, try to go backwards a little bit if I can here. I got hired to separate the north side of this parcel from the south side. We did the work and we did the application. During the time the work was being done and the application was submitted, a separate application was approved by the town office for a lot line revision. This parcel here extended their two lines all the way to the south line. Enhanced separating this parcel at the road for the east side and the west side. But because it was a lot line revision, because it was all connected as one, no variance was needed. And now that we are separating the north from the south, it inherently creates a large parcel on the north, parcel on the east, and a parcel on the west. That westerly parcel has that small little kind of access area. It does have access, but it doesn't fall within the town's zoning laws. But so my client has an agreement to purchase that north property, but we need to get the variance in order to have that less of a width of the road on that westerly parcel. That's kind of where we're at with it.
Are there 3 parcels on the south or 2?
Well, there will be 2. So
2
like I
and a
said,
piece of north.
but right now it's not accurate because a lot line revision was approved. Taking this parcel, taking this line and going straight back, and this line going straight back. So you have this piece and then this piece.
What's the centerpiece?
That is their existing parcel that they purchased all the way back to the lot line.
Well,
During
the
the same
centerpiece is access.
Yes. So there's a parcel here with the house, you see?
They have a driveway.
Right, they have a house, a driveway, everything
Okay.
is within their realm.
Okay,
right?
so it's right on the corner.
This line here, that you see in the north-south line,
Oh,
and this north-south line, during the process of the subdivision, they extended these down. The town
Right.
approved it because it was a lot line revision, everything else worked out, but when we did the lot line revision, this parcel and this parcel were separated on this side of the road, but because it was connected with the north parcel, because also under one tax map number, there were no variances needed, no requirements for subdivision at the time. So with us coming in, cutting off the north lot from south, we're inherently have lot 1, lot 2, and lot 3. You understand where I'm going with that?
don't mean to be dense, but that's fine. The middle between lot 2 and lot 3.
Yep.
Underneath the home, south of the home.
This property line now, with the approval of the town,
Right,
this line extends all the way down to here,
right.
Yeah,
and this line extends all the way down to here. These people purchased this area here.
okay, so that, the lot
That-
south of the house, the line
Yeah.
south of the house
Yep.
was eliminated.
This lawn was all the way there.
Okay,
So we have this parcel, but they're connected by the north parcel. So by doing the subdivision, we inherently have now a 3-lot subdivision instead of a 2-lot subdivision. And that westerly portion, if you go back to the map, you'll see how the lots will. So now you see how we have this lot. That's that line I was talking about where they extended all the way south. So this is the lot on the west side, lot 2, that'll be on its own, and you can see that access area. They have a driveway that goes up like a farm lane that goes up through there. So the reason for the variance is because of that small access there and the fact that it was the lot line revision was filed before the subdivision. So we come into this issue with a 3-lot subdivision.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
there, you're asking though for 2 variances. One for
Two.
each of those?
I believe we only need one.
yeah, no, just need one.
I don't know what that is. So this lot has enough frontage.
Yeah,
That lot
that's,
doesn't, but we will need a waiver.
So what is,
with
So-
this line.
so as it's written, it says a lot with variance of 130 feet where 200 is required, 70 proposed. Then a lot with variance of 131.3 feet is where 68.7 is proposed.
I think that's just a reiteration in a more accurate form.
Yeah.
It's the same variance was more accurate.
Right.
So which one do you want?
I have.
yeah, right?
The 130.
The more accurate, but the one that's not generalized.
That one's 68.7.
You can zoom into this corner here.
And that was
So
the one with
68.
That was the one.
All right, what is what's in
Second one.
front of that?
Second one.
What's, so it's like, it's
There's a
flag
whole-
lot? Is it a flag lot? Is that
I
what I'm
mean,
looking at?
technically, if you wanna call it a flag lot, it's got 70 feet, I mean.
Yep.
Flag lots are a little, I mean, it's a short stubby flag lot.
Where's the purchase taking place? That's not.
The lot that's being purchased
Is
is north.
Okay, all right.
80 some odd acres.
No, it's. the
All right,
big
I
one.
thought you were talking about that area next to the little annex where the flag was purchased.
So they're already using that as,
There's a house there.
You could go to the Encore again. Yeah. See, there is currently a house. That's
Okay.
separate, we're not talking about
Okay.
that, so.
oh, okay, I didn't see.
That's one of the, I want to see what was happening. I own the house in what you call the flag,
The 6275.
6275.
Yeah. So this house there, this would be the flag portion.
Right.
Of this
Right.
lot, cause this goes straight back now, that's what we're asking for the variance.
Mm.
We need the variance to cut the north line, the north parcel, the large north parcel off of the south parcel. So that's why we need the variance, because of that split in the. The only way to get around the variance is
Them
to
buy
add,
it.
no, I can add a tiny little 130-foot. Strip on the north side of that and make it unusable, like per code. It just doesn't make any sense.
And so the flag pole
It's
is
about,
allowed at an unauthorized width
Right.
because the width already existed on them.
and on the north and the south, technically, because if we would have, if that lot line revision wasn't filed, we still have enough frontage. With the
Yeah.
connection of both parcels and around that U shape, it wouldn't be an issue. But because of the lot line revision, it separates it into a 3-lot subdivision and not a 2-lot.
So everything in yellow right now is the same old curve.
Not
No.
currently, no. Not currently.
No, because
Not
you have the
in
middle
that
section.
So the same owner that is at 6265, the Crackers, they own this piece, this piece, this piece.
And they're selling the big piece.
And they're selling the big piece of retaining what you would call the two
The two
east and
side
the west
lots.
lots at this time. So we're not changing really that lot as you know, the access is still there. It's the same like existing access for that because they are separated by like a gully. So.
Have we approved any lots out there similar, like? That you know of?
Grimble for.
It's pretty, yeah, we haven't had.
Gribble's got a kind of a short run until it gets into other towns, so
Right,
not on Grimble, I don't think.
It talks in here about the people owning our hunter, they want to use that for hunting.
Yeah, it's staying exactly the same.
There were a number of concerns raised by the ECB about it being developed with a lot of overlays.
I mean, if you look at our plan, if you go back to my site plan, there's not a whole lot you
Right.
can do as far as development is on that northerly parcel. It's low, it's wet. I mean, you might be able to, you could put a house on it, you might be able to, but you're not developing. It's just not the intent of this, what you're seeing, it's to cut it off to purchase it and keep using it as is. Food plots and hunting.
if they were to put a house on it, would they have? They would have to get approval anyway, right?
They'd have to go with site plan.
Right.
If they wanted to re-subdivide it or subdivide it farther after we subdivide the north side off, they'd have to come back in front of the planning board for that. Not the zoning plan.
How many square feet is the lot that is the flag lot?
It's like 13 acres. Isn't it? I don't know what it is. It's been zoom in. It's a large. Then they're large acres, so it's 14 acres, 14 and a half acres. So I mean, it's a good sized parcel.
Do you have any problem here with large depth and narrow
No.
width? No.
Wait, I thought you said that
We have to get a waiver.
you need a waiver.
Width versus length? Yeah. So
It's
the planning board has to get a waiver for the subdivision part of that. For that same lot.
Okay.
Which we typically get in those situations, the waivers.
Anything else from the board?
Yes.
What's the area of the flagpole? ballpark,
It's
quarter acre.
60 by like 120, maybe a quarter acre. It's not a very large section. Just
But it's
enough to
also-
get
But it's
that.
also not a tiny little slope.
No, it's 68 feet wide. That's a road. So it's not your typical what we try to do, like a 20-foot wide and sneak a driveway in it and make it, go back a couple hundred feet and then open it up. It's a short run and then it opens it up pretty wide to 300, 400 feet wide. So if someone was to build there, they'd be building past that setback.
Yeah, but consider you have 45 acres between the 3 lots, the way they cut that up.
Yeah, it was like I said, like we got a call from Kristen and she was like, "Hey, we got like an issue here." So, and I was like, "Okay." So kind of like, and when we started it, there were no issues, but because of like I said, the lot line revision that came in, it affects the continuation going to the planning board to get the approval so he can close on that monthly piece.
Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions? Yes.
Or stay right here.
No, come up to them.
Hello, thank you for having this. My name's Charlie Jackson. I live at 6160 Grimble Road. My property butts up to this on the north side of Grimble Road. And so I couldn't tell when the gentleman was up pointing to different things, I couldn't see his body was blocking some of the images, so I'm not quite sure. I can go over here. This is my property all through here, or right up to here. I was unsure as to where the subdividing was taking place and where the drives are trying to go through, either the south side or the north side of the road.
The larger parcel up top where you were pointing, that's the one that's being sold. So there's nothing
Impact.
changing there.
We're cutting the north side off the south side, so no line
On the
changes.
bottom.
So no additional drive going in there.
No.
So everything is on the south side,
Yes.
and that is for future development of homes.
Mm,
No, there's no plan to develop that property. It's just a subdivision, so the person that is purchasing the large parcel on the north, all the lines are made exactly.
There, so we can see what
And it's for hunting and food home. It's always been, there's no development, there's no homes, there's no roads, nothing is being proposed.
So what are the narrow drives for?
It's not, and we're not proposing a narrow drive, we're proposing a variance because this is an existing condition that we have to give up.
Okay.
Each lot is required to have 200 feet of road frontage in that area. They're asking for a variance to bring that one down to 68 feet.
right, because they're separating it from the upper parcel, that's why they need a variance for the lower parcel.
All right, so again, it's not for any housing development.
No.
I don't know.
Well,
For now.
just
For
yeah,
now.
Right.
Anthony,
There's no plan to develop it for housing.
does lot 2 become, if you were to get a waiver of the length times width problem and a variance, is lot 2 buildable?
You could just,
I just-
you could put a house on lot 2. It's
Okay.
got enough land, it's 14 acres.
Lot 3 already has a house.
Correct.
And middle lot already has a house, and your lot
Correct.
has a house. And lot 1
And
has
you
no
could
house.
put a house on lot 1, which is 80 some or 90 some odd acres, so yeah, you could put, that's not this, well, that's not what we're looking at, we're just looking at the subdivision at this point. There is no plan on a development, there's too many wetlands and encumbrances on the
Mhm.
property with a couple blue line streams and the fact that there's no
Mhm.
sewer out there, it's highly unlikely that, it'll get developed.
Does that answer your questions?
I guess, I'm still concerned about, future development. Sound really travels through there a lot. I'm at the top of the valley right there. And I literally, where Sonny built his house, it's probably 300 yards, 400 yards from my house. He's out in his driveway. He sneezes, I can hear it. The sound just travels right through there, so.
Any development of that property would be coming in front of the board, so you would be.
And actually, that wouldn't even be our purview.
Right,
That's actually a different planning process. So we're just here to whether we approve the, the lot as it is.
But also to develop that property, you need a lot of environmental waivers and whatnot.
It's just
Yeah.
not, that's not the plan that the new owner is to keep it as is hunting and.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else from the audience?
Yeah, I just have a question. My name is Martin Peck. I'm the one that owns the little lot right in front of all this, so all this surrounds. But just to add to his point, I'm just wondering if there's a land, use designation for that property that will be applied or could be applied in case development ever does want to be placed on that property. Can it be called recreational use only or?
It's called AR2.
Right.
Pardon?
It's zoned AR2 right now, which is a designation. It's already designated as a specific type of land use.
Okay.
Which is AR2 means agricultural, residential, zone 2, which means 2 acre lot minimum.
Yes.
So you can really only do agricultural things
Well,
or,
if they sold it, someone could build a house up on that.
Yeah.
lot. They could.
68 feet, is that enough to put a road in?
A road
As
or a
opposed to-
driveway?
A road,
A road?
yeah,
Yes, it's enough for a road, like a town road, 60 feet is the minimum.
okay.
Now, when you talk about that road, that's the road adjacent to my house? Is that what you're
There
talking
is,
about?
there is no road being proposed, it's a subdivision and we're just there's no development being proposed.
Right.
It's an existing condition there anyway. It's just we need a variance because of how the property has been subdivided over the last 6 months.
Do they use it for access now?
It's a farmland that they get up
So,
for access.
so it'd be the same.
Yeah.
So that's all.
When they mow that property, that 14 acres, they use that road to get the tractor out there.
Gotcha.
That is how someone would access if
Right.
they were to purchase in the future, and that's where their driveway would go if they built a house there. It's 14 acres, it's enough land to develop.
I think, is it fair to say that AR2, 14 acres with that limited, no sewer, it would be extremely difficult for you to find a housing development behind your house. Is that fair to say?
That's what I was trying to.
With the wetlands and.
Yeah, I
just needed to start.
Go there, started about the property across the street. And like Mr. Jackson here, I believe that was the last name, I've watched a house a year go up on Grimble Road. And I'm not against progress, but in the same respect, I like where I live and I like to continue it that way, so. As I see this right now, I have no problem. I'm just asking questions for my own information.
Sure.
But if it was possible to make it a little bit more difficult to build any one of those lots in the future by designating it something else, so that they're forced to come for a variance in order to build anything there, I'd appreciate it if we could do something. That's all. That sounds good to me. Yeah.
I don't think we can put a restriction against a single house being built on.
And see how.
It would have to come to the planning board
Yeah.
to
Right.
be able to see that process happen if someone's gonna build.
Alright.
I mean,
Right.
if they could put a road there. I'm assuming, from a position of ignorance, the slopes. And the woodland make it. Prohibitive for 7 lot subdivision, they got 14 acres, 2 acres each, maybe you get 7 lots, but I don't think that could be done.
It wouldn't be financially.
Maybe
possible.
put 2 or 3, but. Probably wouldn't.
No.
What do you think, Dan?
From a development point of view, I don't foresee that happening. With all the comments that we just went over, the big drawbacks is sewer and not being there for a development and a road to go in on only 14 acres is, and it has to be 2 acre lots. That would be cost analysis doesn't work. obviously, it sounds like the owner is selling off property, so I always recommend if you're concerned, talk to them about possibly purchasing. I mean, that's the only way to fully guarantee that nobody's gonna build behind you is if you buy the land.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfair to put regulations on that. I mean, if they buy the 14 acres, they should be able to do within code what they would like. But I mean, again, those are all planning board features that we're all talking about, not zoning board. The zoning board will be looking at the variance that's in front of them.
And I don't believe that, I don't wanna misconstrue anyone. I'm not talking about the 14 acres behind my house. I just, originally, when I got a letter in the mail about a 3-lot subdivision, I thought they were talking about taking the north section and splitting it into 3 houses. So that's one of the reasons I came here tonight.
The sign was on the north side of the road.
Right.
And so I thought the same thing, and then I called in, and that's what I was told, but then I guess Mike, I'm not sure who Mike is, but Mike called me back and said, no, it's not on the north side, but it's on the south side.
And I think the applicant has shown the possibilities of building on that north side would be very challenging.
It's a swamp.
Yeah, so I think that the proposal here to move forward with being able to have the current landowner be able to sell that land and make a profit on it and have somebody buy it that wants to use it for the current use is a great opportunity.
And as I said, I have no objections in the way it's, I understand, not everybody else.
Is that what the ECB recommendations were geared toward, was the north lot? Doesn't look like there's NRI stuff on the south lot,
No,
but they said there's a lot of NRI features.
they were recommending, yeah, also that the owner might look into having it set aside for some, recreational use. Okay, the reason that we send out notices before the meetings are so that you understand that something's going on and you can come and comment on it. I appreciate your comment. Okay. Anything else? You okay with our closing the public hearing?
Yes.
Close the public hearing. We have 62 days to make a decision, but hopefully we'll get there tonight. Okay. The next one is 4746 County Road 16. This is a continuation of an interpretation. The applicant, Marion Cassie, is appealing the results of complaint case 2025. Claims the subject of property contains a pre-existing non-conforming use, mining and excavation. Complainant claims that the use was abandoned for more than 1 year period, thus negating any pre-existing non-conforming use. The complaint also claims that the use has expanded to additional activities, and the property owner has not obtained the proper special use permits to continue that. It was investigated by the zoning officer back in the summer, I believe, and then it was closed at that time. Okay, Mary?
Hi. There's lots of information, as you can see. I have one additional thing that I'd like to pass out and have it put in the record. I don't know who I give it to for in the.
Give it to Mike, but let me just take a quick look.
This is, it's referred to.
Make sure this gets up here.
It's referred to in the documentation, but it's an article from the Daily Messenger that's titled "In Memory of Eric Darling, the Folkie Who Never Forgot Home." The article goes on to talk about Mr. Darling's career and where he was, and that he moved to New York City when he was 17 to start his career. And it's also all in the notice of appeal that we wrote out. And I think that the Spalls are on. You see Sue Spall, they're in Florida right now, but they're on. And Ted and Patty Brewer are also on. I think that's Ted and Patty. And the first thing I'd like you to look at is the notice of appeal. And that is item. There you go. Has everybody read that?
Let the record reflect all zoning board members indicated affirmatively by nodding their heads or nodding
Okay,
the word
well-
yes.
Just in case this has to get appealed further, I'd like to go over it a little bit. In New York, the requirement for a property owner to prove legality of a pre-existing non-conforming use is established through state court precedent rather than by specific statute. And then I gave you some specific case law that's there that states that or backs that up. It requires that the property owners provide proof that the use has not been further, it requires proof that the property has not been abandoned for a period of exceeding 1 year. Now, when the code was written in 1961, it said 18 months. But now it's 1 year. But whether you use 18 months or 1 year, this property belonged to Eric Darling, who was a very famous musician, traveling all over the world with all sorts of groups, which are outlined here, and took the place of Pete Seeger with the Weavers, and he was on TV in Europe and everywhere else. And then in the early 80s, he moved to Mexico from Manhattan and lived there for a while until he moved east to, I guess, when he was passing away. But I went through the deed history. There's copies, except they're extremely hard for you to read because Kristen will tell you when she put them in, she had to put them in, many of them sideways. But I have all of the deeds, copies of all of the deeds of the properties here. So if anybody has any questions on those, I have them. Prior to my inquiries in June of 2025, no one at the town hall could find the original chapter 220, the town of Canandaigua zoning code. The earliest town zoning code that could be found by the clerk was from 1975. The reason turned out to be that at the time the original code was written in 4/20/61 and was passed, everything was typed on a typewriter, and those early documents have never been digitized or put on microfilm. And you can see the photos. I took photos of all of the pages of the old code, and unfortunately, when they got uploaded, they got scrambled. There's some here, some there. Not necessarily in order, but it's all the information is there. I found the date that the original code was passed on E-code, and there's a picture of that also somewhere. You have the E-code. Let's see. This is difficult. At any rate, I've included in there, you must have seen it, the modern E-code. Would it be easier to just go through each one of these? Mike?
Please not.
No,
I don't think we need.
Okay. I don't know where that is, but at any rate, if you look at our code currently, it says that it's updated from the code from 4/20/61, which is where I got the date. And then once I was able to tell Crystal, and she was able to find it in the basement. Then she brought it up and I took pictures of it, and you've got pictures of all of this. Attached are photos of the 4/20/61 code. You'll note that Schedule 1, can you find Schedule 1? It's probably the last go to one of the last ones. Either one of those, it's two different versions. That's good. Why does it say memo?
Yeah, that's not.
Try the next to last one.
The ZBA decision sheet.
Well, these get all scrambled up because that's not the way they appeared when I looked at them. At any rate, I don't know how the order on these changes. Can the order on its own sort of change as you look at them?
It's the way they were uploaded.
You want to just go ahead and state what
Right.
they say and then if you need
Well, it's
confirmation.
hard without showing it, but
On the 1961.
I'm sorry.
Did you want the 1961 zoning schedule?
Yeah,
That's up right now.
okay. As you can see in the, on the 61 zoning schedule, and there's two copies of it. This is the one that was printed in the newspaper, and then there's another copy of it that's with the file that was in the basement. Where it's got R2 on the left, it's hard to read. This is an R2 up here. They basically had two residential areas. You can see the shadow of it. That's R2. All of these uses, class 1 through class 5, do not need special use permits. Special uses were required for class 6, 7, 8, and 9. And here's R2, it's required, a special use permit is required for the uses in class 9. In the code, again, the old code, you can see that gravel pit, a gravel pit or mining operation, is a class 9 use. And Chris Jensen, who for some reason wrote in 2022, gave it a designation as pre-existing non-conforming, used the pictures from 1963, which was 2 years and 2 months after this zoning code that couldn't be found was passed. There is a way that you can correct that. It's allowable by law. If there's new information found, which this is the case, that the zoning code is found, you are allowed to change that. In Kristen's determination, she said the small scale gravel excavation and mining operation is a pre-existing non-conforming use within the R3 zoning district. We're disputing that. The use was established prior to the adoption of the law or amendment that rendered it non-compliant use. We're disputing that. And pre-existing non-conformities may be maintained and shall be allowed to continue. Even if you look at the documentation that Chris used to say that there was a gravel pit there, can you get to the pictures of that Chris used? I think we may even try the blow up down. Yeah. That blow up is what Chris said was a mining scar, and then said that there was mining there in 1963, which again is 2.5 years after the law was passed. Can you get to the larger one that has the lot lines from Ontario County? 63 with lot lines, there you go. Can you show the whole thing? Okay. This is the parcel that he said was pre-existing non-conforming gravel pit. this is my property, and this is David Warner's flag, basically, that goes up to their property. These two lines are what's shown on that blow up, and if you look at the modern day picture from the county, can you get to that one? Okay, that's the subject property. These are the two things that showed as the black semicircular shapes on the other map. Being not modern technology, you can see that those are actually trees, pine trees, and their shadows. There, it's not mining scars, and it's still there. That's a 2024 photo. So that was incorrect when he did it. The fact that the photo that he used was from 63 and the law was passed in 61 also makes it not valid. And then beyond that, the fact that the property belonged to Eric Darling from, let me find the dates here. From October 6th, 1958 until 10/27/86, the property belonged to Eric Darling, who lived in Manhattan and then later in New Mexico. It was not being mined during that time period. That's a period of 28 years. So that was abandonment of any mining that was earlier. So it should not have pre-existing non-conforming use. And what we're asking for is on the last page of this notice of appeal. Therefore, because of all the factual information and attachments, we're asking the Zoning Board of Appeals to reverse the zoning officer's determination on the following basis. A, the property owner or his legal representatives have never provided any valid evidence, as is required, that the use of 4746 was established prior to the adoption of the law or amendment that made it non-compliant use, which we now know, newly know, was 42061. And B, that the property owner and his legal representatives have never provided any evidence that the use of the gravel excavation and mining operation has not been abandoned for a period of more than 1 year, especially between 10/6/58 and 10/27/86, the 28-year period, as is required. Those are requirements in state case law that can be shown. I don't know, Chris, did you look up the two cases that I included in the first page? Okay, and basically what they come down to in a nutshell is because it's a violation of the current code, it's an exception to the current code, and therefore it's the property owner's responsibility to provide absolute proof that it was in operation as a gravel pit mining operation during that time period. And that has not occurred. So we would like to have this removed as a pre-existing non-conforming use. Any questions?
No, I think we probably have, Chris, you may want to address your.
No applicants have anything to add?
Patty, Ted, Sue, do you have things to add?
They're muted.
Oh, you're muted. We need to.
Can you hear me? Okay.
And now.
Ted goes first.
Ted Spall, please go first.
Okay, as Ted Spall and Sue Spall, we reside at 4747 Summerwind Drive. We've been residents there since March of 1985. We've never seen any activity in that pit area until the last year or two. So we were there
mostly when Al Perrin owned the property. He was a good neighbor, quiet neighbor, never had any issues with him. And I appreciate the amount of work that Mary Ann Cassie's invested in this in terms of bringing up all these information from the state. And I would be very interested to know that the zoning board will disallow this pit. Not only that, there should be some inspection of the area to make sure that the areas that have been disturbed aren't going to be running off into the lake and that proper mitigation is taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed, do you have something?
Yes, this is Ted Brewer. I live at 4727 Westlake Road. A couple of thoughts. Has the town, and this is a simple question, a yes or no answer would be wonderful. Has the town asked the parents to prove continuous use of the property?
That's part of the process. But we're not, I don't know anything beyond that,
We don't know.
I'm sorry, you're garbled. Is that a yes or a no?
I said that's part of the process. I don't have any, this is the zoning board, not the town. I don't have any further information as to whether or not they did, but that would have been part of the process.
Would have been, but sounds like I'm not getting a definitive answer. Were the parents asked to prove continuous use, yes or no? And if they were asked that question, what did they say? What evidence did they provide?
We did ask, when we did a site
Kristen,
visit.
you want to respond to that?
Yeah, we did ask that question when we did a site visit. We spoke with the representative, Kevin Perrin. He did describe consistent use of the gravel pit over the course of several years.
Several years.
Well, that doesn't help us, does it? Because the code went into place in 1961. I can add that my family's been on our property since 1936. I have personal knowledge to the effect that there were extended periods when there was no mining activity. One of those Marion pointed out was during Eric Darling's ownership. He obviously was not in the mining business or even present much of his ownership period. I'm not getting the sense that we have good information here. Parents apparently, from what I can tell, have not provided you with any documents of any kind, no business records, no photographs, no information of any kind that establishes the fact that they have used the property continuously. Marion's gone to an enormous effort to try to show that they've not used the property continuously, even though it's not the neighbor's responsibility to prove that. It's the property owner's responsibility to prove continuous use. I'm not getting the sense that they've done that, nor that the town has really held them to that.
Or that they could do that, because we've been.
Actually, when I asked Kristen about it, she said she checked with Dan and Dan said that wasn't part of what they had to do. So.
That's not.
All right. Let's not quote any town staff member to this board, please.
Chris, I'm looking at a document that makes some mention of records that are often used in these situations. They include tax records, photos, leases, sworn testimony, business records. You can imagine many forms of documentation that would associate with an ongoing gravel pit operation. And yet, I don't think you have any, you, the town, or the ZBA has any such information in hand. Am I wrong?
As a board, we wouldn't have that information, not as a zoning board, we wouldn't have any business records.
We can make a judgment.
That's beyond our purview. I'm not sure what the town board has.
But that's what the zoning officer should have had before he said it's a pre-existing non-conforming use.
I'm not sure what the process is for, I mean, I have no idea what his process is in regards to, I can't imagine he would have purview to the financial records of a business, but
He would
however, that's probably part of their process, I would assume, in proving their case. Otherwise, that's not something that we would we would have privy to, so.
Are there any more of the people on Zoom there who would like to ask questions, and then we can have Kristen try to address those?
What's the question?
Is there anything else to add? We're having a hard time hearing, sorry. You asked if there's anything else to add?
Asking if there are any other people on Zoom who have questions to ask but have not been recognized. I don't see anybody answer that. Who's Fred Looper? Do we know who Fred Looper is?
Where did he come up? I see.
Just, you don't have to identify yourself
Yeah,
there.
you're muted. I don't know how to get out
Not
of
a
it.
neighbor.
Some people just really enjoy zoning board.
That's, I'm sorry.
But at any rate, during the period
You
of
want to talk?
58 to 86, when it was owned by Eric Darling, there was no mining there, which by itself should mean that this was abandoned since the law was passed in 61. Pretty clear.
Kristen, would you like to address some of these issues? And do we have anybody from the Perrin family here?
Yeah.
You may want to add something to it as well.
Hi, I'm Kristen Smith. I've met some of you. So we're here because Marion's appealing the determination concerning the property and its alleged zoning violations. Asserting that the property contains pre-existing non-conforming use related to mining and or excavation.
Kristen, bring
Can't hear
a
you.
little bit. Yeah, you're.
Yeah,
That's
the
okay.
microphone.
Is that on?
No.
Okay, you gotta talk louder.
I'll try. She's saying that the use was abandoned for a period exceeding 1 year, thereby terminating its non-conforming status. It's also alleged that the use has been expanded beyond the previous scope. The property owner has failed to obtain the required special use permit to do so. The case was investigated by myself and Mike Murphy, Town of Canandaigua Code Enforcement Officer, and closed because we found no evidence of a zoning violation. To render our decision, we used multiple historical and recent aerial photographs of the subject property. Mike, can you bring up the memo? After page 1, there's photos spanning several years. I also had a telephone conversation with the New York State DEC. They were called in to investigate, so I actually got in touch with the person that performed the inspection. They said that they were not doing anything on the parcel that would indicate the need for any permit from the DEC, which is exactly what they said when they were contacted by Chris Johnson when he did his determination back in 2022. So that does not indicate any increase in use of the parcel. The most important document I used in our investigation was the pre-existing non-conforming use zoning law determination dated September 7, 2022. The town formally determined that the activity on the property constituted a pre-existing non-conforming use. After a review of the materials, I couldn't find any evidence that justified overturning the September 2022 determination. To be specific, the aerial imagery doesn't indicate an abandonment of the gravel pit for a period exceeding 1 year. And there's no evidence demonstrating an unlawful expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use.
Hi, I'm Kevin Perrin. I'm supporting my dad. Perrin Construction hauled gravel out of there. Ted Brewer, when they built their house in 2017, got gravel from our gravel pit. Where Marion Casey lives, we brought gravel over there. I have a cousin that hauled buckets of gravel for 36 years down there. Put it in his van.
During what time period did he hurt? Or what 36 years?
From now 36 years back. That goes back into the 80s.
Marion, he gave you the chance to talk. Let him talk, and then
She drives up with a van, puts 5-gallon buckets. That's still being used. And he has over a 1/4 mile driveway to fill potholes. So That's on Walls Curtis Road. And Parent Brothers Construction hauled gravel. So it's been mine for a long time. And I did not get a notice about this either.
Yeah, should have.
Can I just comment on part of that?
1 minute, please. Does any board members have any specific questions? Anyone?
I don't think so.
Go ahead, Mary.
I don't know what he was talking about for 36 years. I've lived there for that long. And we have never had any gravel from the gravel pit brought over to our property. Never. The other thing is, when the law was passed in 1961, it was 4 years after that that Kevin was born. So we're talking a long time ago here. And I don't know what he was doing between 1958 and 1986 when it belonged to Eric Darling, but it wasn't being mined during that time. Because Eric owned the property. He was a worldwide known musician traveling the world.
I guess one question I have, was there gravel being taken care out of there while he owned it? There was.
Parent Construction.
Parent Construction.
Where's the contracts? Where's the information? Tax returns to show income.
Just
All right.
because doesn't sound like the town has requested information from the owner. As I can tell, sounds like.
And what is the process, Chris, as far
Well,
as?
that's what I'm trying to get at. I mean,
Well, it depends, it varies by situation. Town code section 220 dash something. Let me just tell you what. 220-107. Subparagraph E says that a certificate of nonconformity shall be required as a part of a request. Certificate may be requested by the property owner. A certificate of nonconformity shall include a map depicting the boundaries of the subject property, as well as physical improvements and uses. And D, identify and describe all instances wherein the nonconformity fails to comply with the provisions of this chapter and the date they were established. Now, this is a different type of situation because we have a code enforcement officer who went through this exercise in 2022. I don't know what items he looked at or based his decision on, and perhaps he did, and perhaps he didn't.
You know who asked him to do
Your
it?
current zoning officer had stated she relied on that as well as other information to determine whether it's sufficient information to overturn the pre-existing certificate of pre-existing non-conformity. So that's what happened here. Is this appeal is of Kristen Smith's August 25th, 2025 ZLD that affirmed essentially Chris Jensen's pre-existing non-conformity.
So like from when you say there's specific certificate, where, I mean, where, like, where's, do they have to come up with that? Do the parents come up with that? Or I mean, like, what's?
It's different on each situation. A lot of times it's made
And where?
made not the applicant or property owner doesn't have to participate much because Encore has such good historical photographs. You can slide it back and it goes back to whatever date you were looking for. You've got aerial photographs. A lot of times you've got the same owner saying, this is a gravel pit since I started my gravel pit in 1956.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be in writing, or does that,
It doesn't have to be. You can, this board can rely on testimony on all sorts of things. B, the list that was stated is a good list. Tax records, contracts, invoices, that kind of thing are absolutely things that zoning officers look at in issuing these. I mean, it's not an exclusive list, it's not an exhaustive list. It depends on the situation, and it's up to the zoning officer within reasonableness to determine what he or she needs to make the determination.
How far back does an individual have to go to prove that they are complying with a pre-existing non-conforming code violation? I don't care if it's, maybe it's an individual that's living over the garage that was allowed to happen. Is there some statute that says that you have to prove every year that you have to, that you're?
No, absolutely not.
And it's not a violation.
One certificate generally suffices. In just about any situation.
Well, the establishment
and any can be appealed to the zoning board at the time of issuance. So
and the ruling by Chris Jensen back in 22 was that it was a pre-existing non-conforming, and it was continuing to be operated in that venue. Was at what point in time did this all become such a?
We're missing like a lot of information before that, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about going back,
65 years.
Yeah, and
Or 3-4 of them in here. 3 of them.
well, and so I think what you're getting at, I'm not sure, but the law does not require, photographs each day between now and 1961. It doesn't require
Who took that picture?
written records and documentation that proves conclusively, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, anything. We have a municipal system under zoning code. New York State Town Law, Article 16, says the zoning officer makes the determination. Doesn't have an exhaustive or an exclusive list of how they make a certain determination. It says the zoning officer gets to make a determination. It also sets up a system of appeals to this board and New York Supreme Court under Article 78. So it's left to the good judgment of your zoning officer, subject to review by this board and the court system, to determine what information is needed to render the decision.
But I mean, like, if we take the period of time from the decision, what we're referencing, and then we're just seeing that window. I mean, like, because we wouldn't really look at what's before that, right? I mean, essentially, we're just looking at that window of time.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Right, because I mean, it's subjective
subject
before
to
that.
new information. Marion's point is
Right.
That Chris based it on Chris's determination. Only established that it was pre-existing to 1963. Subsequently, Marion has said it wasn't even existing, never existed. But it was only, Chris Jensen only established it to 1963. And then the photograph code pictures may or may not establish that the code was enacted in 1961, not 1963. So I think that's the crux.
Seems like, I mean, a couple of things said about how much it brought out of there each year. It sounds like it's not a major mining issue.
Well, the DEC very clearly
Right.
said,
Right.
yeah, they're mining, but they're not doing anything that bothers us.
Right.
And as we've seen in the town of Canandaigua, the DEC gets bothered pretty easily.
So where do we go from this point here?
So, yeah, the question before us is simply, are we upholding our new zoning officer's determination?
Correct.
which upheld the previous zoning officer's determination, which we as a board saw and upheld. Chris's,
Correct.
Christine's.
Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
note,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, we didn't close the hearing.
I couldn't hear, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
My question is this, for the last couple of years, we've been fighting the heavy equipment, the trailers, the backhoes, the loaders
Noise.
on the property, which has been now moved up to Wells Curtis Road on the other parent property. But there's a photograph that I'm looking at right now that shows a heavy loader in the gravel pit. And I want to know how they can justify without an SUP having heavy equipment on the site and running a commercial business, leaving the gravel pit aside for a second. They still have heavy equipment. They don't have pick and shovels up there with a wheelbarrow. They have to have big 12-wheelers or 10-wheelers, excuse me, loaders and everything else in order to load the material out. And the property's also been used as a transfer station. There's been gravel or millings up there from blacktop and a few other things. And I know the excuse was they use that to fill their driveway, but there's been a lot of that, trucks coming and going, carrying that material. It's not just a mining activity. It's been a transfer activity using heavy equipment. I'd like to know how they can justify keeping heavy equipment on the site when they don't have an SUP.
Thank you.
So, and I'm not trying to play games, but I'm here as the zoning board attorney, not the town attorney. That's a question best directed to town staff. The zoning board doesn't have that answer for you. But you could reach out to town staff, and file a complaint again. Or call, Dan Del Priori, our director of, development, sorry. And have a conversation with him about it. I think he'd be receptive to that. He's nodding his head yes right now. We should call him. And I think he can probably explain that better than the zoning board or me in my capacity as zoning board attorney right now.
Could I answer a question that David asked?
Yeah, go ahead.
David asked the question, how far do you have to go back? And it depends on the property and what the zoning was. In this case, the zoning was passed May 20th, 1961. So you would have to go back prior to May 20th, 1961 to show there was an existing business there. To say it was pre-existing non-conforming.
That wasn't, I don't think that was really a question.
No, I'm just saying from a practical matter, it is.
How far do you have to go back?
Yeah.
And you have to
I
go
mean,
back.
you're asking for a determination of law in essence. And that's why I asked Chris, what is the law? To me, that's.
So Chris Jensen, Kristen Smith, and now this board are actually charged with a determination of fact.
Okay.
The law says if you were doing it before the zoning code and you did it continuously, you get to keep doing it. Very good. Quick and dirty, that's what the law says. So if there are facts relied upon, and so Chris Jensen's determination of fact, and then Kristen Smith's determination of fact based on Chris Jensen. And then you're reviewing that.
So is this a matter of closing the hearing or how do we proceed?
We really should close the public hearing pretty soon. I think. Please.
This is Pat Brewer. I'd just like to say something. I haven't spoken yet.
Go ahead, Pat.
Thank you. I'm confused in the fact that when we're talking about the continuous use or lack thereof, and we have provided documentation showing that the time Eric Darling lived there, plus we lived here, there was absolutely no activity on the gravel pit for, I'll just say even 5 years, but it's probably more like 10 years. And what I don't understand is how that fact is being overlooked by and Kristen, I don't mean to say anything bad here, but I know you were up there and I know that you talked to Kevin, but we've provided documentation. And I don't see any documentation that suggests otherwise from what Marion is presented tonight. So I'm just very confused by this process. Thank you.
We do have testimony from the property owner that has been going on to some degree through that period of time.
How do
You
you
don't.
balance?
Even before they owned it.
Russ Perrin's the property owner. You don't have testimony from him.
That is
And what's particularly relevant
From his representative,
pardon me?
from his representative.
Okay, that's different. A key point that Marion has mentioned repeatedly is that it's necessary to prove use prior to 1961, and no one has done anything that could possibly prove that. And Russ Perrin's representative, his son Kevin, wasn't even alive then. So if on a logical basis, I don't see how the town can condone the continuing operation of a gravel pit when there are no other gravel pits on Westlake Road, 10-mile long road. There's no other gravel pits. And you've heard from many neighbors that this is a burdensome situation. I don't understand how you can look the other way here.
And there's three families here that are all testifying as well. The Cassies, ourselves, the Spalls, and there are other people along here that could absolutely testify that there was no activity for at least 5 years in that gravel pit, not that long ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple key takeaways, about process. I know the board is curious about that. When we look at these.
So that
Sorry,
we get.
Sorry. All right, so when we look at these, when there's already a predetermined from Chris Jensen, we're only looking at what new information is given to us. Marion has brought up a few things that she used. She brings up that a previous owner was never there. That does not mean a business wasn't being in use there. Doesn't mean operations weren't being done. They might have been very small scale, but just because the owner was out of town, traveling, doesn't justify enough proof for the town to overturn that. The other thing that she brings up is the maps. We look at maps every day. I don't want to say we're experts, but we have a good indication of what a map looks like from many years ago. I don't know what her level of expertise is of looking at a map. So when we reviewed it, our determination was that there was evidence enough to uphold Chris's determination. So with those findings, it's hard for us to say, yes, we're going to overturn what has already been decided and wasn't brought to your board to be appealed, to overturn it. And that's why we are here today to say that we do feel we did our due diligence in reviewing what we had to up to a level to justify the predetermined of this by another code officer. It's not like a brand new interpretation that we would dive into everything. We only need to make sure that we're upholding what was already put in place. So I just wanted to give you guys a little insight on that.
And that was my question. Thank you.
I think Shannon had made a motion.
Could I
Yes,
ask,
I did.
could I ask a follow-up question about the heavy equipment?
Okay,
know
we're
you
gonna
said-
have, we're gonna have one question for you, one for Marion, and then we're closing.
What'd you
Go
say?
ahead.
The meeting's closed?
No, I said,
Okay.
we'll take
Can I
one.
ask, can I ask one more question?
Yes, please.
You said that the use of heavy equipment on the site would be under the privy of the town officials and building inspectors and so forth. But your board has the responsibility under SUP. If somebody makes an SUP application, doesn't it come in front of your board?
I'll answer that just as a courtesy. That goes to the planning board. Frequently, special use permits go to zoning boards in towns, and our town, they go to the planning board.
Okay, I guess we'll have to make some kind of appeal to the planning board then on the use of heavy equipment on that site because it's not allowed by the code. Period.
Marion, one more.
I would just like to remind you of one thing. Chris's determination, the two pictures that he used were not the subject property. They're my property. And you can see that. Can you pull that up with the property lines
No.
again?
We've already seen them. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you've said that. You can see that those two curved black lines are not within the yellow lines there. They're on my property and on Warner's property. So his information, Chris's information, he did not get the property lines put on that. He just showed the overall picture from 1963 and assumed that's what it was, which is incorrect. It's my property.
Okay, any objections to my closing the public hearing now?
No. It's my motion.
I was just gonna add one thing,
So wait, was there an objection to closing the public hearing first?
I just want to bring something up before we do.
Oh.
Mr. Perrin said that he didn't get notice, so he might want to have more to add, so I don't know.
No, I'm over that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I do think it's important to note that the DEC has a limit for the classification of the gravel pit on the amount that can be pulled out each year. And what can be brought in. And I think there's an assumption that if it's a gravel pit, that it has a lot of activity happening all the time, and the amount is
1,000 yards a year. And
is the max.
we don't haul that out. Pressure run.
So I think that's important to understand. This isn't a massive gravel pit that's got heavy equipment there every day running. It's a very small gravel pit.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right.
Okay, I'll second Shannon.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public hearing's closed. Let's see, we'll go move back to 3670 County Road 16. Anybody have any comments?
Lots of fences, character of the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, I know, the whole neighborhood is.
You know, actually, I think it makes it almost a cleaner look.
I did like
Cleaner
the
look,
statement about.
look at the side of the building and I
Right.
mean, it.
I get it. Then you're talking about it's a little fence, not like,
Yeah, and it's not high enough that it does not obstruct your view of the lake.
oh, did we ask?
As you're
Yes,
driving
it's
back.
supposed to be it's supposed to match.
And it's
the
gonna be
fence.
picketed with the gaps, yeah.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that if you were gonna approve the variance, condition it that it be 3 foot, guys.
4 foot.
Max
4 foot.
4 foot white picket fence with
to match.
that matches adjacent.
Right,
Type of styles or something to that.
I think they were gonna do that anyway.
Yeah, he committed to it, but you don't want.
Right.
Put it in,
Now somebody else owns it.
Exactly.
Rip it down and put up a 6-foot
Yeah.
privacy fence.
Yeah, right.
Question?
Sure. Shall the requested relief from 220-9A1 be granted? Shannon,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes,
Chip.
Yep, yes. Okay, the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the neighborhood. So it's based on the materials presented at our meeting here tonight. I think it is a improvement, which I think is in keeping with the neighborhood. There are safety issues which have been raised.
and it's
are
very
appropriate.
minor. It's a minor.
It's a minor thing that,
Yeah.
Marion? Marion?
I'm sorry?
And can't see any negatives to it really, so.
As long as it's, yeah, I mean,
And it should be conditioned on
Lines with
it, being built to be similar to the neighborhood, the others in the neighborhood. White picket fence.
Works for me.
All set then.
With it, or-
We did vote, yeah. Okay, Grimble Road.
That's weird.
Yeah, right, I know. I know, I was like, what? Took me a minute.
Yeah. But in the end, I'm okay with it. I see that they're gonna end up with 3 lots. It's the only thing they're looking for is the weird.
Which they already use as a
Right.
entrance.
Yep.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, I have no issue with how you name it.
Sort of a flag lot, very short flag.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Full stones that.
But there's no other way to do it without, and keeping
Yeah.
both sides of the road just as, I think, always salute.
So I also believe, and Anthony wasn't so bold as to say it was a different engineering company who came in and got a
Yes.
lot line adjustment, which I think, almost makes it not a self-created hardship because he's working
Correct.
for the guy who wants to buy the north side. It's not
Gotcha.
quite, but I think that.
Yeah, he didn't say that. Actually, that would have been helpful, probably to know.
Are we able to include that in our reasons for?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
And what you've got in that picture is what they're asking for.
Right,
It's not changing any conditions
exactly.
other than that there was.
It's already that way, but now it can be sold as a.
Yeah.
Okay, call the question.
Sure, shall the requested lot length variance be granted? Shannon,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Chip.
Yes. Based on, let's see, the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the neighborhood. This is based on the information presented to us tonight. This is an unusual situation in terms of it being after lot lines have been shifted and things. It's limited by somewhat by topography and
Yeah,
the
wetlands.
configuration of the wetlands.
And they can't sell the parcel without breaking it off, which creates the issue to begin with. It's kind of almost not a self-created.
And yeah, I think the fact that it is probably not self-created in another engineering company that it's in the original.
I think it still leaves the properties within the code, the AR2.
They're pretty close.
They're
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
We'll make a recommendation, is to consider a condition that it's not a buildable lot until the planning board grants site plan approval. Because it's already subdivided, and I think right now it would be subject to the required site plan approval, but codes change and sometimes single family houses are unbuildable lots get taken out, but that one might be since you're granting them that reduction in frontage. Might just be considered that condition.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Get that?
Yeah.
Also, okay, 4746 County Road 16.
To me, just to clarify, I think what we're being asked for, first of all, this board upheld Chris Jensen's finding and determination back from 2022. We did.
Well, do you remember that?
I don't think there was ever any.
It was right there it's in
It was
the,
never brought up to us, was it?
Shannon?
it's in the material on the,
That's why I read through.
yeah.
What about this?
Alright, well.
This-
This decision was made, whether it was this board or not.
There was an appeal on 4744, not on 4746.
Yeah, the
Okay.
previous one was on the adjoining That was about the.
There is there's a finding, oh damn, what's the name of the word? There's the appeal is in. If you open up, you look at the file that we log into. It has all of that. Thank you, yeah, permit.
It's great.
I know, I was like, what? Yeah. Right there. It's like, just shut my
Yeah, I think
computer, I'm like, crap.
Chris's, it wasn't
I know.
challenged, I think it wasn't brought to us. This is being brought to us now because we have another determination.
Right, but my point is, we're only looking at the work that was done that went back to challenge Chris's. It sounds like the town followed their process, gave it the due diligence and everything else. So I think what we're being asked is simply, do we think the town did their job? In what they had to do.
Well, did they present new evidence between then and now? But I mean, I don't.
But it's not
necessarily something that I think there still needs to, it's like he said, she said still.
So.
But it's not up to the town to present new evidence.
Right.
267-B says the Board of Appeals may reverse or affirm wholly or partly, or may modify the order, requirement, decision, interpretation, or determination appealed from, and shall make such order, requirement, decision, interpretation, or determination as in its opinion ought to have been made in the matter by the administrative official charged with the enforcement of such ordinance or local law. And to that end shall have all the powers of the administrative official. Now, from a rationality, reasonableness, what your charge is, I think you hit the nail on the head. And with the decision made in error to the town zoning officer in August 25th, 2025, incorrectly or insufficiently make the determination.
Right, and then Christine's point is she went back to the previous determination, which was also upheld, not challenged, whatever. And it's not up to the town to come up with new evidence or to redo a whole investigation. It sounds like that's not what's being asked, but simply new or what was assumed to be new information was brought to Christine, and she did what she followed her process and did her due diligence to come up with a determination. I have no reason to overturn her determination.
Can I ask Chris, this almost seems like it's a prescription easement for, how long, really the case that's been made is the fact that there's a difference between 63 and 61. And I think that probably you could make the case that there's probably been ongoing mining there since 63, certainly. But I don't know how you would prove that it hasn't before that. I don't think there can be enough information in today's world you could do that. Go back, but there's no, it just seems like there's no qualifier here this case is based on the fact that this was done in 61, and we certainly, the dates were wrong, and, I don't want to give, is there any validity in that argument at all, is the question to me.
Well, so the validity needs to be with, did the zoning officer not consider that sort of a reasonableness, rational decision making? Now you can go through and look, but it's a decision you have to make. If you think there's sufficient evidence that the code was enacted in 1961, and that the zoning officer didn't make the correct decision, then you could overturn. If you think that there is evidence, but it's not sufficient, that what was submitted to Kristen, and then to this board, then you can uphold it up to the zoning officer's determination. But it's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You have to make the decision whether there's sufficient proof that the code was in 1961. And it wasn't being mined in 1961. If that's your belief, I mean, there's a lot of proof here.
Who's to say it wasn't started in 59?
Right, well, that's.
I mean, and
Yeah.
the whole issue to me is, I mean, I guess I'll leave it at this. I don't see how any judicial board can ever effectively function by undermining the enforcement arm. I'm not gonna rule against code enforcement, because I don't see any evidence that's taken place here. I think everything has been above board. I think, the development chair is conceded that they're pretty good with maps. And I believe it. So anyway, I guess that's where I am.
The other thing is not being an investigative body, we don't know if it's
Right.
stopped in 1968.
Right.
For instance.
That's what
We don't know.
I'm wondering.
But also if one bucket was taken out, then it was continuous. We don't know if the owner allowed use, whether formally or informally,
Yeah, that's kind of one of
the verbal use at that time. We have no way of knowing.
We don't know, but the people who did investigate, do we think they followed their process?
Well, we do have some testimony from representative from.
True.
One that there has been none, but not under oath or anything, but.
Well, right.
It just strikes me, and the DEC, it's not a major operation. I mean, if there was anything at all major, they would be on top of it over and over and over again, with it being so close to the lake. And just, and also, when you look at pictures, you would see much less land than you saw 20 years ago. Call the question.
Sure. Shall the determination of the zoning officer of no evidence of violation be upheld? Shannon?
So just to clarify, if I say yes, I agree with the.
Zoning officer.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
I recommend that I prepare findings of that for you. Let's review and approve at your next board meeting.
Chris, what did you say? Could you speak up?
I said I'm gonna recommend that I prepare findings of fact for the board to consider to review and approve at its next board meeting. Sorry, that was a little mumbly on my part.
All right, let's. Request for re-hearings.
You what?
Referrals from the town board or town manager. Ordinance committee referral. Dan, you'd like to make a presentation here?
Yeah, if I could just quickly here, a few things. I know that you've all received emails from me in regards to personal email use and switching back to just town accounts. I worked with the town attorney on that. There's multiple reasons, but that's just going to be procedure moving forward. I'm not going to get into all the details. If you want to talk to me offline, we can have those conversations. But if you are still having any issues, let us know and we will try to continue with our part-time IT person to fix that for you.
Just remind them
bring our
to use the.
computers in and
Should we
Yeah.
close the hearing? before we
Yeah.
get
Oh,
into
yeah,
this?
yeah,
Should we close the hearing or the meeting?
no, this is not.
No, this is.
No, this is under assistance. Also a change for your next meeting. I'm gonna have Kim, who runs the virtual side of things for other meetings come, which will allow Mike to be more at your table, more participation. So something that we're gonna try on to allow that he's more interactive so that he's not tied up with trying to find things in Cloud Permit.
Gotcha.
So hopefully that will be beneficial to this board. And the last thing I just want to update you guys about is we are trying a new process for things to be submitted to the town. That will streamline the process a little bit better. And unlike tonight that we're looking through Cloud Permit for a whole bunch of documents, you guys will be able to go into one document and see everything that was reviewed and submitted,
Oh, great.
Like a giant PDF,
like a giant PDF.
isn't that gonna shut? Like, when I do that on here, like a set of site plans,
Yeah.
it shuts the window.
We're gonna, if that's the case, then we'll break it into a couple. But to try to eliminate having
Right.
20 some odd documents,
And then click it and then have to go back to it.
yes, we're gonna try to get it more in a way of.
A little more condensed.
Yes. And if there's anything that you guys see, let me know that we can improve on. I'm open to ideas. We meet weekly, if not more often, about trying to just streamline, trying to make things better for our residents to apply and then getting the information to the boards. So the last thing is the New York Planning Federation Annual Conference is coming up in April. Normally we send some from planning and ZBA if you would like. This year it's in Cooperstown, April 19th to the 21st. So if there's interest in that, please let me know and I will get you guys signed up. And that's all I have.
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess, our alternate member has been approved by the town board.
Correct. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, was approved at the last town board meeting. And we are in the process of hopefully being all set up with that person and getting the emails and all that. So hopefully at your next meeting, they will participate. So
Alternate sits over there for zoning board.
What's that?
Alternate sits over there.
Well,
for
we
zoning
can
board.
slide down one. Chip
well,
it
and
in.
we might do like a U shape like
Yeah.
we do for planning.
I didn't move over here for any reason, I swear.
I didn't swear out.
Thank you for your
Long fiction and.
Oh, did you have something else?
No, I was just gonna say, I went to the Planning Federation conference last year. It was actually very good.
I went to one time. It was.
Yeah.
So just let me know. We will take care of the registration and hotel accommodations if that's what you need. So.
Gotcha.
Thank you. We have the approval of the minutes from last month.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to, did I get through them all? I think I got through them all. I'll make a motion.
Like that.
What's that? I know. I skimmed it.
Okay. Second to the motion.
Go ahead. Jim.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay.
I put them when they first came out, and I
Anything,
forgot.
anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Motion to close the meeting?
And motion. Motion.
A second.
We could have, I didn't hear your nod. Oh, really?
What?
All right.
What'd you say?
I meant to say, couldn't we close the public hearing first before we close the meeting?
No,